It may not be the Premier League with its glitz, glamour and massive TV deal, but nothing beats the grit and passion of the Football League. The Championship, League One and League Two consistently provide some of the best stories in any given season and a lot of great entertainment. Full of sleeping giants, smaller teams on the rise and big clubs looking to get back to where they once were, there's intrigue everywhere you look. This season won't be any different, and ahead of the big kick-off, we thought we'd take a look into our crystal ball and cast an eye over the three leagues. First up is the best league in the world, the Championship. Our promotion candidates are Middlesbrough, Sheffield Wednesday, Aston Villa and Fulham, and sadly our relegation candidates are Burton, Bolton, Millwall and Barnsley. Big fixtures. Sheffield United versus Sheffield Wednesday. With the Blades finally back in the Championship, this season will see the first Sheffield derby for almost 5 years. They've been champing at the bit to renew hostilities, and Hillsborough and Bramall Lane will be absolutely bouncing for the biggest games of these two clubs' seasons. Middlesbrough versus Sunderland. OK, it might not be the North East derby, but Middlesbrough-Sunderland matches are still always tasty affairs. These fixtures could also take on big importance in the promotion shake-up, with both clubs looking to make an immediate return to the Premier League. Aston Villa versus Birmingham City. A second City derby in the Championship is a rare sight indeed, but whatever division these two meet in, it's always guaranteed to be one of the fieriest games going. Villa and Birmingham might not be the most fashionable clubs around, but they're just about as passionate as they come, especially when local bragging rights are up for grabs. Well, the main talking point in the Championship over the summer has been how the league is effectively turning to Premier League 2, with clubs spending huge amounts of cash in a desperate bid to reach the big time. Wolves. Wanderers have not held back in their efforts to spend their way to promotion. Backed by Chinese owners and with agent Jorge Mendes flexing his muscles behind the scenes, Wolves have gone big again after spending $20 million on Ivan Cavaleiro and Helder Costa last season. £15 million Ruben Neves is one of many Portuguese signings who will link up with the ex-Porto boss Nuno Espirito Santo for the West Midlands Iberian Revolution. He might look good on paper, but getting the team to function on the pitch could be a whole different ballgame. Middlesbrough. Borough, another club who've treated themselves to a £15 million signing in the shape of striker Britt Assambalonga. With Gary Monk at the helm after an impressive season at Leeds last year, most are expecting them to be challenging him at the top end of the table this season. Darren Randolph, Johnny Howson, Cyrus Christie and Martin Braithwaite should be very solid additions at Championship level, and it's hard to see too many teams finishing above them. Aston Villa. Chris Samber and John Terry? No, we're not talking about your all-conquering Luton Town side on Football Manager. The two experienced centre-halves could be lining up together at the back for the Villa this season. Steve Bruce steadied the ship after the dismissal of Roberto Di Matteo last year, but will be expected to improve on last season's 13th place finish and kick on to take Villa back to the Premier League. Burton. Nigel Clough, a man who will never ever manage outside of Yorkshire and the Midlands, has done a fantastic job at Burton Albion, who are playing conference football as recently as 2009. They managed to stay up last season, but with the league's lowest budget and average attendance, they'll be up against it again this time out. Existing in a completely different realm to ex-Premier League teams and their parachute payments, Burton will need star player Jackson Irvine to perform again this season if they're to be competitive. League One. Promotion candidates: Blackburn, Portsmouth, Bradford, Bristol Rovers. Relegation candidates: Shrewsbury, Oldham and Blackpool. Big fixtures: AFC Wimbledon versus MK Dons. This one barely needs an introduction. Playing at the same level for only the second time in their short histories, it's the Phoenix Club against the team who in their eyes stole Wimbledon's place in the league. It's not a normal rivalry by any stretch, but that's what makes it and the short histories of the two clubs so interesting. Northampton versus Peterborough. The Posh did the double in the Nîmes derby, named after the river that separates the two towns last season. They were the first meetings of the two sides since 2009, and while the fixture might not grab too many headlines outside of Cambridgeshire and Northamptonshire, it's a big game in those parts of the world, despite the two clubs being 44 miles apart. Blackpool, Blackburn and Charlton. Keep an eye out for games between any two of these three troubled clubs. Charlton and Coventry hosted joint protests at their matches last year. With the Sky Blues now in League Two, expect the two Lancashire clubs to fill the void. With 7 ex-Premier League teams in League One this season and maritime big boys Portsmouth and Plymouth back from spells in the 4th tier, this campaign is shaping up to be a cracker. Portsmouth. Long-suffering Pompey fans finally had something to cheer about last season as they sealed the League Two title on the last day of the 2016-17 season. With manager Paul Cook moving to Wigan, experienced Football League campaigner Kenny Jackett has come into the South Coast club. Having been fan-owned since 2013, the club is now under new ownership in the form of ex-Walt Disney Company CEO Michael Eisner. Tipped to make more big strides back to where they once were, they'll be one of the stories to keep an eye on this year. Blackburn. Under the ownership of the Venky's Group, Blackburn have become the first ex-Premier League winners to drop into League One. A strong end to the season couldn't save them, and the Lancashire side will now play third-tier football for the first time in 37 years. But with manager Tony Mowbray staying on and new signings Peter Whittingham, Bradley Dack and Ben Gladwin, they're tipped to make an instant return to the Championship. Bristol Rovers. The gas have been flying since their devastating relegation out of the Football League in 2014. With back-to-back promotions and a 10th place finish in League One, Jordanian club president Wael El Khadi has handed manager Daryl Clark a new 5-year contract after finishing only 7 points off the playoffs last season. And with a new stadium in the offing, these are exciting times for the club, and they'll be hoping to continue their upward trajectory this term. League Two, or as they say in Spain, League Dos. Promotion candidates: Mansfield Town, Luton Town, Coventry City. Relegation candidates: Morecambe, Crawley Town and Newport County. Big fixtures: Crewe Alexandra versus Port Vale. With Port Vale unlikely to be playing city rival Stoke in the same league anytime soon, games against Crewe Alexandra 13 miles away are taking on increased significance. While some Vale fans don't get too het up about the fixture, it's a big one for the Railwaymen, and there won't be any love lost between the two when they do meet. Cheltenham Town versus Forest Green. This will be the first ever Gloucestershire Football League derby. Think of footballing hotbeds and the West Country doesn't instantly spring to mind. The area is more renowned for spa towns than pyro, but these two have history after competing neck and neck for the Conference National title in 2015-16. Lincoln versus Grimsby. Lincolnshire derbies are always big games, and while some Grimsby fans see Scunthorpe as their biggest rivals, the two clubs' contrasting fortunes over recent years mean they haven't met too often. But lower league rivalries are just as intense as top flight ones, and both will be up for this one when it comes around. League Two isn't going to dominate the back pages, it's probably not even going to get brought up down the pub, but it means everything to the fans of the teams involved. Every year it brings up great stories, and while they might not grab the headlines, they're worthwhile and interesting nonetheless. Don't worry, we're nearly there. Coventry City. The Sky Blues are another big club in crisis, and a Checker Trade Trophy victory at Wembley in May barely made up for a disastrous season marred by relegation, legal battles and fan unrest. The seemingly interminable slide has to end at some point though, and Mark Robins could just be the man to steady a very rocky ship. No football fans enjoy seeing clubs like Coventry go through situations as bad as theirs, and neutrals will be hoping they can have a good crack at promotion this season. How many teams have we done? Lincoln City. The Imps reignited a nation's faith in the FA Cup last year with their heroic run to the quarter-finals before eventual defeat by Arsenal. But the Cowley brothers also did the business in the conference, and now Lincoln will be playing league football for the first time since 2011. Already linked with the Norwich job, the pair will only continue to attract the attention of bigger clubs if they make a good start this season. Forest Green Rovers. Billed as the UK's first vegan team, owner Dale Vince made his fortune in renewable energy and banned all animal products from being sold anywhere at the club. Based in the Gloucestershire town of Nailsworth, with a population of just 5,800 people, this will be their first ever season at Football League level, and any visits to the new lawn will almost certainly be a novel experience for away fans. That was Copper 90's Football League preview for 2017-18. Agree with our verdict on your club? Want to stick up for a team with tip for relegation? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Copper 90.